Hi friends, today we are going to discuss about the Takayasu arteriosus. In the last video, we discussed about the large vessel vasculitis, that is a giant cell arteriosus. Today we are going to discuss about the Takayasu arteriosus, which is another large vessel vasculitis. Before going into the details of Takayasu arteriosus, let's read a clinical question. A 22-year-old woman complains of loss of appetite, low-grade fever, shoulder and buttocks pain, severe cramps in her arms and hands during exercise. On examination, her pulse is weak and her BP is 75 by 55 in the left arm, 60 by 40 in the right arm, 125 by 75 in both the legs. From the question, we can understand that the patient is a 22-year-old female with pain in her arms during exercise, and on examination, pulse is weak and BP is variable in both the arms. Now, let's study about the Takayasu arteriosus and then we can come back to this question. Takayasu arteriosus, it is a granulomatous arteriosus, that is, it is mainly the granulomatous inflammation of the vessel wall, mainly involving aorta, its branches and other great vessels. And it mainly affect the young females. In the last video, we discussed about the giant cell arteriosus, which mainly affect the elderly females greater than 40 years of age. Here in Takayasu arteriosus, it mainly affect the young adolescent females of mean age of about 24 years. And the female is to male ratio is about 9:1. Now let's see what are the branches of arch of aorta. This is the ascending aorta, arch of aorta and descending aorta. Arch of aorta has three branches: brachiocephalic artery, left common carotid and the left subclavian artery. This brachiocephalic artery again divides into the right common carotid artery and the right subclavian artery. This right subclavian artery then continues as an axillary artery and then it continues as a brachial artery in the arm and then divides into the radial and ulnar arteries in the forearm. This Takayasu arteriosus is named in honor of the Japanese ophthalmologist Mikito Takayasu, who first reported this case in Japan. And it mainly affects the arch of aorta and its branches. So it is known as aortic arch syndrome, and it mainly present with the absence of pulsation or decreased pulsation. So it is known as pulseless disease. And this is mainly the granulomatous inflammation of the vessel wall. So in histopathology, there will be the presence of giant cells. So it is known as the giant cell aortitis. Non-specific aortitis, that is mainly this vasculitis present with non-specific symptoms. And this mainly affect the young adolescent females of mean age of about 24 years. So it is known as young female arteriosus, otherwise known as occlusive thromboaortopathy. And the most commonly affected vessel is the subclavian artery. Second most commonly affected is the most common carotid artery. Third most is the aorta. And it may also affect other large vessels, renal, superior mesenteric, pulmonary, coronary, iliac vessels also can be affected. Here we can see this is the arch of aorta and its branches. So the most commonly affected is the subclavian artery, that is the right and the left subclavian artery. These are the most commonly affected vessels. And the second most commonly affected is the common carotid artery, that is the right and the left common carotid artery. And the third most affected will be the aorta, arch of aorta, thoracic aorta or the descending aorta. And other vessels also can be affected. Here we can see there is in vessel wall there is the granulomatous inflammation. As a result, there will be the decreased lumen and also the blood supply, blood flowing through the lumen also decreased. So there will be decreased perfusion through these arteries. Let's see what are the arteries affecting and the clinical manifestations. If the subclavian artery is affecting, this subclavian artery then continues as the axillary artery, then it comes into the arm as brachial artery, then it comes to the forearm as the radial and the ulnar arteries. So if the subclavian artery is affected, the most common presentation will be the arm claudication and the Raynaud's phenomenon. And if the common carotid artery is involved, we know that the common carotid artery divides into the external carotid artery and the internal carotid artery. And this internal ophthalmic artery is a branch of internal carotid artery. So there will be visual changes if the common carotid artery is affected. That is because there will be decreased perfusion to these areas. Because there will be, because of this granulomatous inflammation, this lumen will be reduced. As a result, there will be the blood flowing through these lumen reduce and there will be decreased perfusion. So there will be visual changes. TIA, stroke, there will be this internal carotid artery supplies to the brain also. So there will be cause TIA, stroke, syncope, etc. And if the abdominal aorta is affecting, there will be abdominal pain. The patient present with abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting. And if the renal artery is affecting, if the renal vessels are affecting, then there will be hypertension or renal failure. If the aortic arch or aortic root is affecting, there will be aortic incompetence. And if the vertebral artery is affecting, I told you vertebral artery supplying to the brain. So there will be dizziness and visual changes. And if the celiac axis are involved, there will be abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting. If the superior mesenteric is affected, there will be abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting. If the iliac, there will be leg claudication. There will be decreased perfusion to the legs, so there will be leg claudication. And if the pulmonary arteries are involved, there will be chest pain and dyspnea. And if coronary is involved, there will be chest pain, MI. These are the clinical manifestation according to which artery is involved. So I told you there will be decreased pulsation because there will be decreased blood flowing through these arteries. So there is decreased pulsation and there will be claudication of the extremities. And if the renal vessels are involved, there will be decreased blood flowing to the kidney. As a result, there will be renin will be released. This renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system will be activated and the BP will reduced. There will be difference in the BP between the two arms. And also if the common carotid is affected, there will be ocular disturbances. That is, there will be visual changes. This is I told you there will be decreased pulsation or the absent pulsation seen in Takayasu arteriosus. Here we can see the narrowing of the renal vessel. As a result, there will be decreased perfusion to the kidney and renin will be released in response to the hypoperfusion and the RAS system will be activated. That is the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system will be activated and there will be renovascular hypertension. This may result in the renovascular hypertension. And now let's see what are the ocular changes. That is, first is the Amaroxus fugax, hypertensive retinopathy, that is the Keith Wagner, arteriolar narrowing, AV cruising changes, silver wiring, exudates, papilledema, like that. And because of the decreased perfusion, there will be ischemic retinopathy. And in the first stage, there will be dilatation of the small vessels. And in the second stage, there will be outpouching formation from this dilated small vessel, that is known as the microaneurysm formation. And in the as the stage progress into stage 3, there will be wreath-like anastomosis around the optic papillae. And in stage 4, it may develop as the cataract, secondary glaucoma, rubeosis, neovascularization, like that. This is the FFA, that is a fundus fluorescent angiography, showing the filling defect. That is, here is the hypoperfused area. Here, this is the optic nerve head and this is the macular region. This is also optic nerve head and macular region. Here we can see decreased perfusion in the optic nerve head because in fundus fluorescent angiography, this optic nerve head is mainly seen as a white color. Here we can see the dark areas in the optic nerve head. So there is a hypoperfused areas. This is also fundus fluorescent angiography showing peripapillary choroidal filling defect. These are the choroidal filling defect. This is because of the decreased perfusion to these areas. This showing the choroidal filling defect in fundus fluorescent angiography. And about the stages, in Takayasu arteriosus, this clinical presentation may be through three stages. First will be the early systemic stage. Here the patient may complain of the constitutional symptoms, that is the fatigue, malaise, like that symptoms is the first stage. Second is the vascular inflammatory stage. Here the vascular changes, that is a stenosis, outpouching formation, that is aneurysm, vascular pain. These all are the second stages. And the third is the burnt out stage. In burnt out stage, there will be fibrosis, and the patient who showing this stage, this burnt out stage, may present with a remission relapse. And in case of diagnosing the Takayasu arteriitis, we have three criteria, but we have to only remember two criteria. Three criteria are Ishikawa's criteria, ACR criteria, and Sharma's criteria. We have to only memorize the ACR criteria and Sharma's criteria. In ACR criteria, just remember it as A, B, C and D. A for age less than 40 years and arteriogram abnormality. B for blood BP difference greater than 10 mm Hg and bruit over subclavian. And C is for the claudication of the extremities. And D for the decreased brachial artery pulsation. So, A for age less than 40 years, arteriogram abnormality. B for the BP difference greater than 40 mmHg and bruit over subclavian arteries. C for claudication of the extremities and D for decreased brachial artery pulse. Just remember this. This is a Sharma's criteria for diagnosing the Takayasu arteriitis. There are three major criteria and 10 minor criteria. The three major criteria are the mid-subclavian artery lesion, and the signs and symptoms also involved in this Sharma's criteria but not involved in the ACR criteria. The 10 minor criteria are high ESR, hypertension, carotid artery tenderness, annulo-aortico-ectasia, left mid CCA lesion. These all are about lesions. Distal brachiocephalic trunk lesion, descending thoracic aorta lesion, the abdominal aorta lesion, coronary artery lesion and PA lesion. For diagnosing of the Takayasu arteriitis, there must be two major and one minor criteria, or one major criteria and four minor criteria there must be present. Depending on the vessel involvement, we can divide this into five types. That is, in type 1, there will be only involvement of the branches of arch of aorta. In type 2, there will be involvement of the arch of aorta and also its branches. In type 2b, there will be involvement of the arch of aorta, its branches, also the descending thoracic aorta. And in type 3, there will be involvement of the descending thoracic aorta, abdominal aorta and also the renal arteries. And in type 4, there will be involvement of only abdominal aorta and the renal arteries. The type 5 is a combination of type 4 and type 2b. That is the arch of aorta, its branches, thoracic aorta, abdominal aorta and the renal arteries. These all are involved in type 5. This is a combination of type 4 and type 2b. This is the gross image of Takayasu arteriitis, that we can see the intimal thickening. Due to the thickened intima, the lumen get narrowed, and there is also the attenuation of the media, and there are fibrosis all around the vessel. In the microscopy, we can see the presence of the giant cell because it is a granulomatous inflammation, so there is a presence of the giant cells. This is also another picture showing the gross images of the Takayasu arteriitis. There is the intimal thickening. We can see the intimal thickening. Because of the intimal thickening, the arteries get narrowed, the lumen get narrowed. This is a microscopy of the Takayasu arteriitis. With we can see the granulomatous inflammation. Whole vessel wall is inflamed, involved, and there are the presence of the giant cells. Here also we can see the intimal thickening, attenuation of the media, and the fibrosis of the adventitia. This is the angiogram picture showing Takayasu arteriosus. Here we can see the tapering of the abdominal aorta and the iliac vessels, and this type of patients commonly present with the leg claudication. This abdominal aorta get narrowed. We can see it clearly here. Abdominal aorta get narrowed and the iliac artery is also involved. This is another image showing here we can see the arch of aorta, and here the brachiocephalic artery is involved. That is, the narrowing of the brachiocephalic artery is involved. So the patient may commonly present with the arm claudication. This is an angiography demonstrating diffuse ectasia of the abdominal aorta. These are the abdominal aorta. Abdominal aorta, bilateral common iliac arteries. Here also these iliac arteries are also involved. And stenosis of the left iliac artery. This we can see the stenosis of the left iliac artery. Here we can see the complete occlusion of the brachiocephalic artery. We can see here that this is the arch of aorta. This is the brachiocephalic artery dividing into the right common carotid artery and the right subclavian artery. Here we can see the complete occlusion of the brachiocephalic artery. Here also we can see the narrowing of the arteries. This is the arch of aorta. Here we can see the external carotid artery and the internal carotid artery. So here there is a narrowing of the vessel. And about the management is same as that of the giant cell arteriitis. That is, we have to give oral steroid first. That is 1 milligram per kilogram oral steroid plus low dose aspirin. And the new drug is the interleukin 6 antagonist, that is a tocilizumab. Here we can see that it is an angiography demonstrating stenosis of the distal internal carotid artery. Here also we can see this is an MR angiography showing bilateral common iliac and renal artery stenosis. Here we can see the iliac artery stenosis. Here there is a renal artery stenosis. Here we can see the involvement of the abdominal aorta. Here we can see the narrowing of the abdominal aorta and the renal vessels. It's also involvement of the renal vessels. Here we can see the narrowing of the renal vessel. There will be decreased perfusion to the kidney. This is an image of CT angiogram. That is, we can see here there is a abnormality in these vessels. These all are showing. Here also we can see the narrowing of the vessels, narrowing of the aorta. Here we can see clearly the branches of arch of aorta and its narrowing. This is the arch of aorta. This is the brachiocephalic artery. Then it divides into the subclavian, right subclavian and the right common carotid artery. This is the left common carotid artery. This is the left subclavian artery. So we can see the narrowing of the right subclavian artery. We can see the lesion in the right common carotid artery. Here also we can see this is a MRI and conventional angiogram showing these defects in the renal arteries. In MR angiogram, this MR angiogram is the investigation of choice. That is, because it is non-invasive and useful for detecting the mural thickness, luminal changes, the aneurysmal dilatation. So that is a good imaging modality. Here also we can see the narrowing of the vessel. This is a magnetic resonance angiography illustrating stenotic lesion involving aorta, left common carotid and left subclavian arteries. What are the types of luminal changes that we can see in MRI? That is there will be irregular lumen, ectasia, obstructive lesion, that is mainly stenosis, that is a hallmark of the disease, aneurysms, that is saccular or fusiform, that is outpouching from the vessels. That all can be identified. This is the CT angiogram showing these defects. That is here we can see the decreased stenosis of the vessels, branches of arch of aorta. Here we can see the decreased, this is also angiography showing bilateral renal artery lesions. We can see here we can see the artery lesions. And what are the tests? First we can do the complete blood count. From that we can, this is an inflammatory condition, so there will be raised C-reactive protein, ESR, erythrocyte sedimentation rate will be raised, and the imaging modalities, arteriogram, angiogram, MRI, that is magnetic resonance angiography, magnetic resonance imaging can be done, ultrasound can be done, and we can also do the X-ray chest. This is angiography demonstrating multiple stenosis of deep femoral arteries. Now let's discuss some clinic questions. In Takayasu arterioitis, the descending aorta involving which type? We told that in the first type, type 1, only the branches of the arch of aorta only involved. In the type 2, then type 2A, the arch of aorta and its branches involved. In type 2B, there will be thoracic aorta involvement. And in type, the answer will be 2B. This is the answer. Initial symptom of the Takayasu arterioitis. The initial symptom will be the constitutional symptoms, that is fatigue, weight loss, malaise, like that. So here the answer is fatigue and weight loss. And based on the morphological criteria, especially this Takayasu arterioitis, this is very much similar to the giant cell arterioitis. In microscopically also very similar to the giant cell arterioitis. Both have the presence of the giant cells, and both are the granulomatous inflammation. A 30-year-old woman with coldness and numbness in her arms, decreased vision. Coldness and numbness in arm, decreased vision in the right eye for past 5 months. On physical examination, a febrile, her BP is 100 by 70 mmHg. Radial pulses are not palpable, but femoral pulses are. She has decreased sensation and cyanosis in her arms, but no warmth or swelling. Which of the what is the diagnosis? Here she complains of numbness in the arm, decreased vision. Decreased vision, I told you, if the internal carotid artery is involved, there will be decreased vision. So and there is radial pulse, absence of radial pulse, and cyanosis. Cyanosis is mainly the Raynaud's phenomenon. These all indicate the Takayasu arterioitis. A 22-year-old woman complains of loss of appetite, low-grade fever, shoulder and buttocks pain. I told you the first symptoms will be constitutional symptom, that is loss of appetite, low-grade fever, shoulder and buttocks pain. And then about the claudication, that is severe cramps in her arms and hands during exercise. On examination, her pulse is weak, that is this pulseless disease, that is Takayasu arterioitis, and her arms with both arms has variable BP. So this is a case of Takayasu arterioitis. Here also the patient complains of cold and numbness in the arms, decreased vision, radial pulse not palpable, and chest X-ray shows a prominent border of right side of heart and prominence of pulmonary artery. This is also case of Takayasu arterioitis. The most common artery involved in Takayasu arterioitis. The most common artery involved is the subclavian artery. Second most commonly involved is the common carotid artery. Third is the aorta. Middle-aged woman present with complaints of generalized weakness, dizziness, numbness and tingling sensation of the upper limb and lower limb. On examination, BP was not recordable in the right arm and 70 by 40 in the left side. That is the variation of the BP. No radial and brachial delay. Routine exam investigation including calcium ECG, normal CNS examination, street. Here also the diagnosis is the Takayasu arteriitis. The most common cause of the renal artery stenosis in children in India is Takayasu arteriitis. 27-year-old girl present to the hospital with increased pain, numbness, weakness in her arm for 1 week. She also complained the presence of fever, malaise, arthralgia 1 month back. Clinical examination, elevated arterial pulse and weak radial pulse and elevated ESR. Diagnosis is a Takayasu arteriitis. 21-year-old woman with a fever, fatigue, unequal pulses and BP in her arms. These all are case of Takayasu aortitis. Here from this question, it is a 21-year-old. I told you this is a disease of young adolescent females, and first it present with a constitutional symptom, that is a fever, fatigue and all. Then the classical presentation will be decreased pulsation and the variable BP in her arms. It's a case of Takayasu aortitis. 20-year-old woman present with increasing fatigue, visual disturbance, muscle pain. Visual disturbance occur when there is involvement of the internal carotid artery. Physical examination, weak pulse and thickening of the aortic arch and narrowing of the blood vessels that originate from the aortic arch. The diagnosis is the Takayasu arteriitis. And thank you.